Hey guys, this is part 3 in the short story Chief Science Drone 49 and his adventures throughout space in his journey. I had a lot of fun writing this part, so I hope you enjoy, so let's get right into it. It would be a few hours into the trip to reach Sosta 2, but we are nearly halfway there. Yet, I wouldn't realize it as I would remain glued in my lab, studying and examining everything I could. But by the time I heard the lab chamber's doors open, I would be fully entranced and staring at the strange feathered fish-like creatures in a tank, nearly feeling hypnotized by how elegantly they swim around. Only by hearing the voice of my friend, Science Drone 12, I turn and look at him. With a smile, he begins to talk. He explains a special meal is being held in celebration of our discoveries on Sosta 3. He continues how he wants to attend the meal, but in truth, he would be bored if I was not there. I chuckle a little and walk with him to the food chamber. Making my way down the halls, I look back on all that we have done. It might not seem like much, as we only accomplished truly one mission, but I'm happy that my crew is getting together to join in this celebration, as this discovery could change the fate of our species as a whole. This discovery is one of, if not the single most important stepping stone for our species in order to travel into the stars. So I'm happy we discovered it together, especially me with my best friend, Science Drone 12. Entering the food chamber, everybody would be gathered around. My crew, then friends, and now family, would raise a cup of fungus beer, as Cook Drone 9 hands me a full bottle of premium swamp berry wine, my absolute favorite. It is a luxury drink, only held for the highest ranks, yet here I am holding a whole bottle of it. I can't help but smile. And in time, after some drinking, we all line up at the food table to grab some good eating. I would be allowed to go first, and I can't help but admire the smell of such high-quality cooked food. I think how grateful I am that we have this. I grab some fresh-baked fungus twist, a large helping of rotten flesh mash, a fresh, warm slice of maggot bread, and, to end it all, a nice hot bowl of swamp stew with kalaya leaves sprinkled on top. A rare treat even on Fungera, so I'm happy we have it here, as it's one of my personal favorites again. As I take my seat at a table, I can barely resist beginning to eat before everyone else takes their seat. Yet, I calm my excitement and hold off. And when I'm surrounded by my family, I raise a toast, and we all cheer and begin to eat. That is, after I quickly down the rest of the whole bottle of wine. In time, we did reach our target of Sosta 2. Looking outside the cockpit, over the shoulders of 2 pilot drones. This world would be a far cry from the planet we just came from. Its landscape would be so oven-baked like by the sun, it's a strange white color. And to add to it all, it seems to be a harsh-looking planet due to the fact that most of its surface is covered by a massive sandstorm. Yet a few small oceans, if not large lakes, could be seen on the planet's surface, but they're a strange orange color. We would travel to the barren landscape of the world. We pick an area far from the raging storms, and gearing up in our suits, we would once more step onto the surface of the world to see a large desert of waste. Stepping out and looking around, the planet just feels strange. Under my bladed legs, the soil feels odd. Using my heads-up display in my helmet, I can tell that the soil is mostly made up of salt granules, giving the landscape its white color. Continuing our journey, we walk towards where a large lake is. As we walk, we see a few thin red grass-like plants growing here and there. My friend Science Drone 12 would rush to the plants, of course, and begin taking samples from it. And in time, I find myself walking on my own, closer and closer to where the lake is. I walk on my own as other science drones are simply interested in other things that they have found, and the warriors that accompanied us are just kind of kicking around rocks in order to speed up the time, as in truth there's not much to look at around here, just a barren desert. But as I walk on my own, I hum to myself as I continue on seeing just very little more plant life and just barren, salt-baked landscapes. But I still hold high hopes for this planet. Yet in time, as I finished the song that I was humming, I would be at the massive lake that we landed close to. Looking across to the other side would be vast mountain ranges on the other side of the lake. Looking down at the water, I would see small fish-like life swimming around, but something would catch my eyes. Looking out into the water, I see 3 eyes on long pink stalks sticking out of the water. I would say it would be around 45 feet out, but then they vanish under the water, clearly leaving ripples that would suggest it's actually coming closer. I slowly step back when a massive pink creature lunges out at me, its massive 3-part jaws open. I dive to the side, just making it free from the creature's grasp. Turning to look at the long, pink, fleshy creature, it would be massive, around I would say 39 feet long, supporting 3 stalk eyes on top of its head, 5 flipper-like legs on each side of its body in order to push the clumsy, awkward-looking creature closer to me. Getting a good look at the flesh of this creature, it was pink and seemingly burned all over, almost cancerous-like. I try my best to get up and get away, yet fear strikes me. As the creature lets out a loud roar, it jumps a little in the air and dives right at me. Instinct takes over my body, and I immediately roll to the side once more. It lands with a massive thud. It then uses its long, whip-like tail to slap me right in the chest with full force. I would be sent flying, hitting the ground with a thud, and it would knock the air right out of my chest. But worst of all, my helmet has hit a rock, and with great force from the hit, my visor is cracked. The dusty, warm air of the planet fills my helmet fast. So I stand up and look at the creature. It once more roars at me, but in return, I rip off my broken helmet, useless at this point it is, and I let out a war cry of my own. But I would feel myself growing weak as I struggle to breathe the air. I feel as if I'm simply not getting enough oxygen, no matter how much I breathe. Grabbing my large knife at my side, I decide while I still have some fight left in me, to charge the creature. I continue to scream at it as I jump at the beast. But to my surprise, and to my horror, its jaws open, and 7 long, tentacle-like tongues come out and grab me. The slimy, sticky tongues wrap around me. They are covered in so much slime that when I slash at them with my knife, it simply slides and won't cut. As its jaws open wider, I notice it has no teeth. That does little to stop the fear growing in me. The tongues would grab and drag me into the large mouth, and soon my world grows dark as I scream in fear. The creature finally closes its jaws, and everything goes dark. And all I can hear is the very blood moving in the animal's body. But as sudden as my world seemed to be ending, the light of day blinded me for moments later. I would be spat out and thrown to the ground. Looking up, I see why. All I can see is Warrior 29, slashing down into the creature's skull with a large metal spear of his. The beast would let out a yell as thick white blood spills out from its opening skull. The creature flings itself side to side, jaws opening and closing. Its many tongues would unfold out of its jaws, only for the brave warrior to jump down off of its head and stab down right onto one of the tongues, stabbing right through it. The creature would clearly be in pain as it yells, but the beast opens its jaws one last time to try to swallow the warrior whole, just like me, but it was not to be. Warrior 29 would simply fling his spear full force straight down the creature's throat, and it must have hit something important, as the mighty beast lets out one final scream, only for it to fall and die. Warrior 29 opens the lifeform's mouth and enters. When he returns moments later, he would clearly have recovered the spear out of the beast's insides, with a lot of white blood all over the spear and himself. The brave warrior would reach his hand down to help me up. Laying on the ground, I continue to struggle breathing, as the air is just too thin to really breathe. Grabbing his hand, I get up, and I can't help but give a silent thanks using my bioluminescent spots. I flash my bright blue colors for him. He responds by saying, "It's all good," continuing on how he heard me screaming and a strange roar or something, so he thought I might need some help. He hands me an extra breathing mask he had on him, and then signals for me to follow him with his purple colors. Quickly putting on the mask, I take a deep breath of fresh air. I agree with him, but first, I just simply can't resist looking at the fallen beast and taking this opportunity to gather some of the creature's white blood and pink flesh as samples to study. When we returned to the ship, the other science drones would have gathered a lot of samples of their own to take and study. We all regroup and decide that this is enough exploring for one day. I communicate to everyone of what just happened, and they all agree. I must say I would not waste any time returning back into the ship, where it is safe. But while in the ship, I go right to studying the creature's blood. Scans would show the DNA of the creature would be highly complex and able to repair from solar radiation and cancers very easily. This would prove useful for Sosta 2, of course, as the planet has little shield against the raging solar radiation of the sun. But after some time of studying, it was time to move on. After days of scanning the planet and studying all the samples we collected, we decided Sosta 2 is not good for colonization. The planet had too low levels of oxygen, alien gases we don't understand, and the atmosphere itself is just thin in general. So then, off we went to travel to Sosta 1, and there really isn't much to report on. We only briefly scanned the planet from orbit, as the planet is nothing more than a molten ball of rock and metal with a thick, black, toxic atmosphere. So there was no chances of colonizing this world, and resources in order to mine on this planet would be so expensive and dangerous that there was little point in doing so. So we just left the planet. So after studying the whole of the Sosta system, we were all very happy to say that we were the ones who found this gem of a star system. For the Hive, we all were so excited, as we even got word from the Queen Mother herself that a colony ship would be sent to Sosta 3 for a new start on a new world. So, with excitement in the air and a new burning passion for the quest of science and discovery, we return to our mission to a new star system. Together, with the backing of the whole of the Hive, we go forward into the night of space.